Hi everyone, I'm Jen and I'm the veterinary technician behavior specialist here at Synergy Veterinary Behavior in Portland, Oregon. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about a few important things to remember when children and cats share our homes. While they are very different than dogs, cats make great companions for children and can be very influential in teaching them compassion, empathy, and responsibility. But just like with any animal, though, we need to make sure that we set everyone in the house up for success. And that for me is really a key thing for any kind of animal is setting everyone up for success. And, you're probably have already thought about having a cat or getting a cat. So I'm going to just talk about a few things that we should really think about. There's probably a lot of things, or there are a lot of other things, but these are some things that I really think about um, when I'm trying to counsel people in what to do when they're thinking about cats and kids. Um, First thing is making sure that you're choosing the right cat for your household. Kids are cute, they're super cute, but they may not be the best for very young children in the house, right? Especially young children who don't know how to interact with politely with cats. And kittens themselves are often trying to learn impulse control, how to control scratching, how to control their biting, and they might injure a toddler or a baby who doesn't know how to be gentle with a cat or doesn't know how to interact with a kitten. So we want to make sure that we're choosing a cat with a personality that fits into our home. So, if we have young children, toddlers and babies, maybe a kitten is just not what we should have under our homes yet. So, if we have a home that is pretty chaotic, we need to have a cat who's more chill and can handle a little bit of noise. I don't want to have a cat that is super timid and is really scared of a lot of noises or a lot of commotion because if your house is chaotic, then your cat's going to be scared all the time. And that's not really fair to the cat. So, and it's not fair to the kids either because they're going to want to hang out with that cat and the cat's going to be like, no, thank you. So, we want to have a good fit there. If we're an active family, then maybe an adventure cat, a cat that likes to go with you would be a really good choice. There's lots of cats out there that are superstars at going places, that go camping, that like to ride around in a stroller. Cats they're not like dogs. They're not always going to be like, yeah, let's go all these places. But there's still a ton of cats that really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. My cat Betty really enjoys going on our travels with the trailer, and she gets on her little harness and she walks outside and she enjoys that a lot. So, a more active family would be one for her that allows her to do that. So, as you're looking for and choosing a cat, really think about your house, what your house is like. Again, if you have a more chaotic cat, you're going to need a cat who's more chill, who's kind of like, yeah, whatever, things can happen and I don't care. Um, you're going to want a cat who can really roll with the punches, especially if you have children or just learning how to interact with cats because cats have their own body language and they take a little bit longer to learn. Now, the good thing is that teaching our kids how to interact with cats, um, cats are pretty good about leaving situations that they are not comfortable with. But, sometimes they might also be very intolerant of situations. So, intolerant enough to swat or bite. So we want to make sure that we're teaching our kids how to interact with our cat and explaining things like body language to our kids. If the kitty is, actively moving away, we don't chase the kitty. If the kitty's ears are back, we don't pet the kitty. If the kitty's coming up and, kitty headbutting him, yeah, that kitty really wants you to pet him. So we want to make sure that we're teaching our kids really how to interact with the cats. And we should really let them know what the petting rules are, what playing rules are, and what sleeping rules are. And those petting rules will entail things like teaching your children that if they're petting the cat and the cat walks away, that you don't chase after them, right? Or that we don't just go pick up and hug the cat. A lot of cats really don't like that. They also want to feel secure when they do like being held. They want to feel secure, and a lot of times children can't really get a hold of the cat, and they kind of hold them just by their chest, and that's really concerning for cats. So we want to make sure that our kids know how to actually handle cats. So, not picking them up and carrying them around, making sure that if they are holding them, that they're sitting down and they're holding them to petting them, holding them while they pet them. We also want to make sure that they know how to see when the cat doesn't want to be pet, and that if Kitty doesn't want to be pet, to leave her alone, right? So if Kitty's running away, or if Kitty puts her ears back, or if you notice Kitty growling, obviously, swatting, things like that. We want to make sure that our kids are doing a really good job of heeding that. We also want to make sure that our kids know that when our cats are sleeping, that they need to stay away from the cat when they're sleeping, and then keep leaving the cat alone while she's sleeping. Sometimes it can be, pretty easy for people just to go up to a sleeping cat or any animal and, kind of bother them and, maybe pet them or be like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. Because what's cuter than a sleeping animal, right? But we really want to make sure that we're staying away from that, because sometimes that can startle them. And when they startle, they can get up and smack at a kid or hiss or scare the child or become scared themselves. So we need to make sure that when our cats are sleeping, that we just let them sleep. I know that I'm somebody that don't wake me up when I'm sleeping. I'm much like a cat. I will get mad. We also want to know or teach our children playing rules, how to play with our cats. And play rules should always include how to appropriately play with a cat, meaning no hand play, right? Playing with no hands. Children need to be taught how to use cat toys to interact with the cats, whether it's little cat balls or catnip fish or wand toys or crinkle toys, whatever they are. We want to make sure that our children are being taught to use cat toys to interact, so that we're not inadvertently teaching the cats to bite at our hands and feet. So that also includes things like, you know, not doing the play where we're, you know, underneath the covers and we're kind of doing this on the covers and the cat's attacking covers. It's all very cute until your cat's attacking your feet every single time your foot moves. And that becomes a really big problem. And, we hear that a lot in our practice, that, my cat attacks my feet every time I move. And it'll happen several times a night. So, one of the things that we need to remember is that when we're playing with our cats, that we don't allow that kind of stuff to happen. We also need to remember that it's very important that children learn to never yell at or hit the cat, even if they bite or pounce at them. These are natural behaviors for cats, and they don't have any idea that they're doing anything wrong, right? So if we punish them, not only does it confuse our cat and harm our relationship with them, but it also teaches our children that the use of violence is an appropriate way to interact with animals, and it's just not. Not only is that a bad thing to teach, but again, it harms that bond with our animal. And we don't want to do that. We love our animals. So we need to make sure that our children know that we don't do that. That's not the right way to interact. Finally, we always want to make sure that we have lots of resources for our cats spread evenly around the house. This is something that I counsel people to all the time, and I can't say it enough. Lots of resources spread evenly throughout the house. Okay. Everybody knows, when you have multiple cats, that you should have one litter box per cat plus one. Okay. Now, if you have one litter box per cat plus one and you put them all in the same place, that to a cat is one litter box. So when we say we want resources, lots of resources spread evenly throughout the home, that means that we do need to have them in a lot of different places. Okay. Our cats need to be able to access these resources wherever they are in the house. So obviously, I'm going to put a lot of resources, clustered around the areas that my cats are going to be in. But I'm also going to make sure that my cat is able to get to them no matter what. right? So if my cat's litter box is in the bathroom, but they have to go by a playroom and they're scared of the playroom because there's always a lot of commotion in there, right? That's going to cause a lot of stress for my cat. Okay, so my cat might not want to go by the playroom to go to the litter box, which means that my cat might start urinating or defecating outside of the litter box, which is not good. It also might cause other health issues, right? So our cats um, that get super stressed out, they can actually get urinary tract issues from that stress. So we have to make sure that our cats have lots of access to any of these resources, okay? Every cat needs safe spaces to hide and to sleep, both high and low. And your cat might have preferences of where they want to be. Some cats always want to be perched super, super high. My cat Betty is kind of a mid-level. She's mid-range, right? As much as she has a couple big, nice, tall cat perches, she actually chooses to be on mid-level things throughout the day. But she has all these places, right? She has lots of little boxes and things that she can go into as well. They need to have places to scratch, places to go to the bathroom. Okay. We want to make sure those are easily accessible. We want to have their places to eat and drink, right? Um, and they need to be able to get to those, wherever they are. So no matter where my cat is, they should have quick and easy access to where they eat, drink, feel safe. All of those things go to the bathroom. So we need to really, really spread those resources out. Okay. So really, it was a quick one today. Super short, pretty simple. Find the right cat for your home. Maybe a kitten is not the right cat for your home because, again, kittens are a lot of work. Kittens are they themselves trying to learn a lot of impulse control. So, maybe older children are going to be better with a kitten because they're going to understand that this kitten is still a baby and this kitten doesn't know how to not claw or bite yet. So, making sure that we have the right cat for the house, making sure that our kids know how to interact appropriately, how to, pet them appropriately and leave them alone when they should leave them alone, and to never punish them, and to never use any kind of punishment on them. And then always making sure that we have the right resources around the house. And honestly, a cat can never really have too many resources. And at my home, the resources change quite a bit because if I go shopping and I have, you know, grocery bags, you can guarantee that at least two of those grocery bags are going to be, out in the living room and the kitchen for Betty to play in. If we get an Amazon box, that is going to be in the living room somewhere. Um, if there's packing material, that is going to be out somewhere for her for a couple of days. So I'm constantly kind of changing around the resources just to make it fun for her as well. So, you know, making sure that she's having a good life as well. So that was a quick one. Like I said, thank you for joining me. If you have any good tips for living with kids and cats or an idea for a future topic, please leave them in the comment section below. And we will certainly try to do those when we can. I love having ideas to talk to you guys about. So have an excellent day and we'll see you next time.